Hey everybody, it's me, Remy, the comic book poser. I'm here today to welcome you to Canada the Poseverse. It's Tuesday, you know what day it is, baby. We're going to talk about what new comic books that I'm picking up on this week's new comic book day, Wednesday, the 21st of July, in the year of our Lord 2021. So to find out what I think you should read along with me this week, you'll have to check it out after this.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Two quick announcements. Number one, we're going to do the 1,000 subscriber giveaway next Wednesday night, the 28th of July. It will be a live stream. I'll have the time set up in the next day or two, so pay attention to social media on how you can enter a giveaway for some of the new items that have been added in the past 6 weeks. Number two, don't forget about that Whatnot auction on Wednesday or Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Central, where I'll have a bunch of books, slabs, other random and wild things, all starting at $1. So let's see what we're reading this week. Up first from Marvel Comics is Alien number 5. This series has been far better than I thought it would be, and I think I say that every time this series comes out. I really like looking at what's going on at the Epsilon station. We are hitting what really feels like either the end of a miniseries or the end of the first arc, especially based off of the events of issue number 4. If you didn't read last week's 35th anniversary Alien book that came out, you should pick that up. It was legitimately a good read, especially if you're a fan of either just the Alien films or even the Dark Horse imprint of the Alien comics. That Marvel has done an awesome job with this title so far. Next up from Cave Studios is Beckstar number 3. Number 2 would have made my top 5 had I been current on my issues the week it came out, but I really like what is happening in terms of following the crew of the Restal 8 to figure out how they can pick up the different tools, and especially to get their hands on the creation gauntlet. This has been an interesting character development of not just the hero in Beckstar, but also the looming villains that are threatening all over. Next up from IDW is Bermuda number 1. This looks like crazy Bermuda Triangle stuff. I'll be honest, I didn't read the description. I just saw that John Layman and Nick Bradshaw were doing a book together, and it automatically made the pull list. So we'll see how I feel about it at the end of the week. Next up from DC, hands down, the book that I am most excited about this week is Blue and Gold number 1. We get our first Booster Gold and Blue Beetle series for a while. He is not going to make it into the Justice League, thus the application denied. So we will see what my favorite time-traveling attention horror does to try and increase his relevance in this day. Another book that I'm really excited about is Dark Blood number 1 from Boom Studios. You have a black man living in Alabama. He is a World War II veteran. He is dealing with systemic racism throughout the South, but he's also dealing with other bits of, systemic baggage and trauma. There is an event that gives him some powers, where he is now an individual of heightened abilities. So the question becomes, how does the world treat him different now that he's got superpowers? What can he now do to change the course of a nation, his home, his family, anything like that? Next from Marvel is Extreme Carnage Save number 1. I thought the Scream book that came out, last week, 2 weeks ago, was pretty okay. I liked the way that Flash Thompson was written in as part of the Save storyline in the King in Black and was it Planet of Symbiotes that he was in? Or it was just the Hive Mind issues. I'm excited to check this out. I'm a Carnage fan, so we'll see how it feels. Next from DC is Flash 772. We are getting Wally West back in the red and gold. We are seeing him, reunite with his wife and children. I really liked how everything kind of wrapped up in last week's annual. So we'll see what happens when a new villain and a new threat starts to challenge. Next up from Marvel is Guardians of the Galaxy 16. This is the second book of the new arc that I'm still trying to figure out elements of what's going on in the storyline. Like I said, I hopped in around issue 12 or 13 at the recommendation of Cole from Comic Burrito, but I'm excited to see somebody of the same kind of ilk of Annihilus kind of setting up for a big conflict. Next from Image is Home number 4. Again, I have loved this series. It's been one of my favorite reads consistently. We found out at the end of issue number 3 that not only does Juan have superpowers, but so does his aunt. We learn throughout the final portions of book 3 that Ice is now hot on his tail. So is he able to continue to run and keep himself and his aunt safe, or is Ice going to get us go? This is also something I can't believe is only going to be wrapped up in 5 issues, but it's been real good. Next up from Image is Homesick Pilots number 7. We have members of the band still dealing with all of the creepy things that they had dealt with in the, creepy house that they went into in the first 2 issues. And they are finally overcoming some elements of their grief, but in Amy's case, her past may continue to haunt her and set us up for wild collision course in the next arc. Continuing our long run of alphabetical Image books this week, we got Philadelphia 15. We get some John Adams taking on Abigail Adams action. We are learning, what the younger censor is doing in terms of coming to life with being a vampire, and I want to see more of what Thomas Jefferson can do, because watching the Adamses versus Thomas Jefferson gives us a nice little love triangle. Next up is Mother of Madness number 1. You've got Emilia Clarke debuting a 3-issue miniseries. It seems to be weird sci-fi. I'm wondering if there's some body horror elements in here. All I know is the cover of this makes me think of Clockwork Orange. I don't know why, but I'm excited to give this a read. Next up from Boom Studios is The Many Deaths of Layla Starr number 4. I finally read issues 1 through 3, and holy crap, this is a cool book. In terms of looking at the new embodiment of death, Layla Starr, is now cast into, or death is cast in to the body of Layla Starr in her mortal form. She is trying to hunt down the one who creates immortality. She constantly dies, so I want to see how far we are into the future after her death in issue 3. Marauders, still behind. From AWA is Marjorie Finnegan, Temporal Criminal number 3. I loved issues 1 and 2 in terms of looking at the sisters fighting against each other, in terms of looking at the coming threats to one another, looking at all the wild shit that Marjorie can do. This is another great Garth Ennis title that I'm a fan of. I'm having scrolling problems today. Next up for Marvel is Moon Knight number 1. This is the book that I know a lot of people are excited about this week. I know this is our first ongoing Moon Knight title in a couple of years. I'm excited to get into my first Moon Knight title from Jump instead of reading back issues all over the place. And I'm intrigued to see if what happens in this Moon Knight book is related in any shape or form to what happened with Moon Knight in the arc before the Trials of the Phoenix in Avengers. Next up from IDW is Transformers My Little Pony number 4. Yes, I love this book. Yes, a lot of you make fun of me for reading it. It's legitimately good, and no, I'm not a brony. Next up from Marvel, we got New Mutants number 20, still behind. Next from Mad Cave Studios, probably the second book I'm super excited about this week is Nottingham number 5. I'm excited for this for two reasons. Number one, it's the end of the first arc. And number two, David Hazan, the author, has announced on Twitter that it has been renewed for a second arc, which is amazing. I think this is the writing we've all seen coming on the wall, given that every issue so far has gone to a third or even, I think, a fourth printing in a couple of cases. I don't know about issue 4 yet. I know that issue 4 has gotten a second printing. But we get the first epic showdown between the sheriff and the hood. So, yes. Up next from Boom is Proctor Valley Road number 5. This has been increasingly more and more weird in terms of looking at how the young women are perceived with their stories, looking at the existential evil that is coming from Proctor Valley Road. This is a book that after issue number 1 I was kind of iffy on, but this series has met my expectations since then. Next up from Image is Project Patron number 4. Again, another great series where we're seeing a play on a different superhero riff. All the different individuals who have embodied the Patron have to come together in this issue to figure out how they can fight Woe, the Extinction Bringer. So I want to see, what they can do in a world where they may not be donning the mantle of the Patron. My 400th Image book of the week, Radiant Black number 6. I really enjoyed this series, especially the turn that this title took in issue number, I think it was 5, where we saw a very quick identity change in the character. But this one starts to give us more information on Radiant Red, who's been the foil of Radiant Black in issues, 2 through 4, 2 through 5. So I want to learn more about the flip side of the coin. Next from Skybound, we got Skybound X number 3. This time we get a extension or a final tada with a coda of the Birthright Saga. I really enjoyed Assassination Nation, so I want to see what is written about in this one, but I'm excited. From Milestone/DC, we've got Static Season 1 number 2. I really enjoyed the first book, that I really feel that this does a good job in the spirit of the original Static Shock and other Milestone series, so I'm excited to dive into this one as well. Next from Zenoscope is Tales of Terror Quarterly Game Night number 1. I've enjoyed the other Zenoscope titles that I've gotten into, things, that I may not have pulled, but when I've started to see people like Jay Sandlin writing titles for them, I've become more and more intrigued to check out the horror, because I've learned that while the covers of these books may be sexy and look like one thing that I might not read, they are legitimately good horror titles. From Marvel, we got Thor Annual number 1, so I want to see how we weave things together. It's an annual. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're just a random one-shot, so we'll see what happens in probably the 2 stories that come in this issue. Next from Image, Time Before Time number 3. I really enjoyed the premise of issue number 1. I thought issue number 2 was pretty okay. This has been interesting in terms of looking at our detectives who can hop throughout time now that they are prisoners of the Union and attempting to work with them. I want to see what they have to do to get their freedom or get some trust in the Union so they can continue their work. Next from Devil's Due is Trailer Park Boys Getting Effin' Comic number 1. I thought this was coming out after the Free Comic Book Day issue, but I'm gonna pick this up. You can just tell by looking at me that I probably like the Trailer Park Boys, all the show and shit on Netflix. I like this as well. Next from Image is Undiscovered Country number 14. I'm really intrigued by the premise of issue 13 of what needs to be done to continue their journey to make it out of the zone of possibility. So I want to see what they have to do to get creative and see what Ace Kenyatta does as the culture expert to inspire their journey. And then finally, X-Men Legends number 5. Again, I think on issue number 3 of these, but I'm liking these X-Men written as if they, are filling in gaps from the 90s X-Men, which is my era that I love. The only thing coming out from Scout this week that I saw is the trade for Shit Show. I really enjoyed that series. You'll remember from the closet days. Behind me, I had the Shit Show Afghan prominently displayed in the background. So check that out if you've not read the single issues. But that's that. Let me know in the comments down below if there's anything I should pick up that I've missed out on. I know if you're here in the chat, you've probably already been doing the same thing. But that's all I got. So as always, y'all, thanks for stopping by, and have a good one.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4.